YeahThisMilk starring.
This is Ambitionthepoet. I hated foster care. Felt like an Airbnb app for the poverty kids, except for you can't give 5 stars to abusive parents. You can't give tips to a roach-infested house. And I hated my used clothes. You can still smell the 6 niggas that wore it before me. See, there was something about hand-me-downs. You can still feel the disappointed souls that cried on the collar. I hated my sneakers. They always had that lean. They needed the grandma cane. I always wondered why Foot Locker never accept Medicaid. You are now listening to the stories of a foster child. My therapist used to ask me how I feel about my mother. Well, life gave me an epidural in my tongue, so it goes numb every time we're talking about birthing our relationship. How am I supposed to feel about a woman that left me to die? Do it look like I'm that crumpled up birth certificate you trying to find when you finally trying to get your passport? You are now listening to the stories of a foster child. My therapist used to ask me how I feel about my siblings. My brother, I could just tell you that my skin started to crawl. My brother told me I had to drink out of the back of a toilet. And what black boy in America should try to quench his thirst the same place where he empty his guts? That's yuck. I think we should shut this session down. We starting to tap on the monsters of been students since my childhood, waking them up with 3 shots of espresso, letting them snort a couple lines of pre-workout powder. And my mom, she always said there was a little boy inside of me playing with matches near his forehead. He thinks the only way he can get rid of his memories is by setting his skull on fire. You are now listening to the stories of a foster child.
That's dope piece, bro.
Thanks, Mom. Thank you.
Dope piece. Dang. A foster child. Let me ask you this. How do it feel living in a foster home? And take me through the everyday struggles or the ups and downs of living in a foster home.
One of the struggles is, imagine if I told you right now, in Atlanta, to go and live in a random stranger's house for 2 nights. You don't even know the person. You have no idea. I just sent you into the random side of Atlanta. Like, yo, this is where you're going to be staying for 2 days. It is the most horrifying, scary, nervous, you're jittery. You have no idea who these people are. And yo, the house could be safe, but you don't know that until you get there. And mind you, you're a child. And so that is the type of things that so many foster children like me are going through at that time and now are going through at this moment. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to do that piece to introduce myself to, the viewer as a foster child, because when I came on the poetry scene, no one was really telling that story. And so I wanted to come down here and tell other people about this same story that so many you don't really get to hear about unless if someone's talking about it. And sometimes it's, it's the forgotten voices that I wanted to, explain and give it to in vivid detail. And that's why in that poetry piece you heard me talk about, my therapist asked me this. When you're a foster child, you have therapy sessions, and they constantly ask you these questions, trying to make sure that they can heal you from your pain. We was talking about earlier about PTSD, and definitely as a foster child you have that as well.
Well, when the therapists, do they care, or is it the one you had? Did they care, or was it more so like, this is my job, let me just do this and get you out my face? I
do think they do care. From what I experienced, the child though is locked. The mind of the child is locked. So it's hard to try to, get the things out the child. So for me, they kept asking me a lot of questions, and I was like, nah. I didn't want to talk about it because it was still happening. While the therapist is asking me how I feel about my mom, I'm still in foster care. I haven't seen my mom. So imagine the therapist asks you questions about someone that you're not seeing. The pain is still,
right. You have to it's like they digging in a womb that's not even healed.
And you got to hit those sessions like every week. I was going there every week.
Right.
And they just kept hitting me. And so that's why in the piece I'm like, yo, how am I supposed to feel? You know what I mean? How am I supposed to tell you that my brothers is telling me this? And my mom that you want me to forgive at this time is no longer aware of my life. I have anger. And you want me, therapist, to be calm and to talk about it.
And you're a child at the
And
time.
I'm a child, but I'm.
You
born
can't
in
process all that at that age. Right.
And they looking at me, of course, the therapist is white. And, they're looking at me as this, African American young boy with a lot of anger and a lot of strife. And I'm acting out in school and in my neighborhood and in my foster home, but I'm not really talking to the therapist about it.
Yeah, right. When you say acting out, give me some examples of some of the things you did or done while acting out, crying for attention unknowingly. Explain.
Right. So one of the things is the writing came, but the writing came dangerously because it was in stories in the beginning about what I was going to do to kids that were bullying me.
Oh, okay.
So those stories were not, I shouldn't have been writing them, you know what I mean?
Right.
You're talking to a person who keeps saying that, that's not my real family. I don't care about anyone because the person who's supposed to have loved me is no longer there. So now it don't even matter, So you got somebody,
you like fuck everybody.
Don't matter.
Right.
I don't feel anything, and even still to this day, I still have to struggle with that. Like, don't let the coldness of my heart let it be warm in my heart, Lord.
Right.
Because I come from the coldness of knowing what it's like when no one cares and you're in somebody's house. Like, okay, so what's the next house?
Right.
And you're constantly moving from house to house, and you know that none of these people are your real family.
And they don't really fuck with you.
Nah, I mean
they fuck with you, but they don't fuck with you. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Imagine having somebody, it's like a guest. Like, guest, I'm gonna treat you good for the weekend, but on Monday, it's time for you to leave.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what? Let me ask you this. It's crazy the way we broke that down because I never heard nobody break it down. Like, in fact, I never heard nobody talk about foster care like that. You know what I mean? Go into detail like you going into detail. When, like, for me, myself, I lost my mother. She died in 2006. And when she died, it's like, I know there's nobody on this planet that have my back like that. Right? So when I lost that, it's like, when you, like, whoever have their mother still, this is what you got to understand. If you lose your mother or your father, if your father is actively in your life, right? When you lose one of those two pieces, it's like a masterpiece. Your mother is the most important piece on a chessboard. And if something happens to that, it can fuck you up. So for you to say, you looking at everybody like, I don't like, if you can't trust your mother, nigga, who you trust?
Right.
So I understand that thought process because my thought process is like, I lost my mother, so now that's the only person I know for a fact got my back.
Right. With no strings attached.
No strings, not no hidden agendas, not if I don't do this and I don't live up to this, I'm not getting this, but more so, I got your back fucking hands down, right? So my question to you is, have you and your mother since then talked and also healed through the process of whatever y'all been through together?
No, we have talked and I met again, but for me, my healing came from being able to see her again, understanding where she is mentally, and forgiving her and moving on. Because I do have a amazing foster mom who adopted me. Okay. We call her Mrs. Pinckney. But she is my mom forever and did a great job building me up and instituting self-love and self-confidence and battling me literally in the battlefield of the mind, because as a foster child you're struggling on that battlefield of the mind and the heart. My mom was really particular good at that. But my biological mom, she's still in the facility today. She's still not, as well as she should be, or could be. But I understand now that being angry at her is not
it's wasted energy.
And with all due respect, what I went through created me to sit right here today talking to you and so many others about foster care and making sure that that people who went through the system or is going through the system, I can help and try to guide and offer something.
Right.
That is the biggest thing about my creation process. So, you know, man, and I'm thankful for the things that have happened to me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I know where I'm going and what had to happen to become that. You know what I mean?
Right. You basically, you know, the way you see it is kind of how I see it. Like a lot of shit I've been through, you just put in a pressure cooker to cook faster, baby.
Right.
That's all it is. When you're going through struggle,
right,
you put in that motherfucker pressure cooker. What you gonna do?
Right.
You gonna buckle or you gonna stand up?
Facts.
That's it.
And I was not going to buckle.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to say something about what I went through. I wasn't going to let life happen to me and then go to bed and sleep and wait till I die and then you hear nothing. Nah, I was like, oh, we definitely have to tell the world how this went down.
Right.
And how I'm going to help people and not be a silent voice. You know what I mean? I had to do that.
Let me ask you this. Do you understand, like now that you're older, do you understand the thought process of your mother just not knowing certain things? See, the thing is, we get wrapped up in not you. I'm gonna just say I'm this broad. We get wrapped up in how I feel, but not really take the time to understand a person's thought process on why. I can see why you fell victim to that.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like a lot of times we put our mothers, fathers, friends, cousins, different people, our best friend, all these different people on pedestals, but not looking at the person for who they are and saying, I can see why you did that, right? And not necessarily like I'm not mad at you or I don't feel a certain way about what y'all been through, but I can understand why you did that.
Right.
Have you went through that in your mind yet?
And I tell you, this is why I was myself in my childhood and still to this day, who I associate myself with. I don't do drugs. I mean, I drink, but I can't even play with weed for me. Because our bloodline, there's some things in our, some things are in our family histories. And some of us as black people have to understand we can't be at the party smoking and drinking like everybody because our family history is not like the person next to us. So one of the things I know was, my family history is telling me we can't play with the drugs because we get a little busy. In my history, as I start learning about, we get a little busy. We get a little bit too much drinking. So one of the things is I understood from her is because now you got to remember, I'm born in the 80s and at that time, as I do the research, Philly, Baltimore, New York, as you know, crack and drugs was everywhere.
And it was normal.
It was like our weed.
It was normal.
So imagine now the weed that people smoke today technically is crack. And everybody's doing it. It's at parties, it's at it. So now I get to understand. So hold on.
To add on to what you're saying. Popping pills, lean, all that shit crack too. Right. Yeah, but go ahead.
So now I'm starting to understand now. So y'all party scene back then ain't like mine's now. And I understand that you got involved with certain people that you shouldn't have been around with. And some people did get on crack in that time and did some drugs and was able to get off it. My mom, unfortunately, wasn't at the time.
Most definitely.
You know what I mean? And so that doesn't mean that she wasn't a good person. That means that she got caught up in the situation.
It means she couldn't. She's still fighting a demon that's on her back.
Correct.
That's what it really is.
Right.
Like we all fight different demons, and some can shake a motherfucker, and some just on your back and won't let you go.
Absolutely.
It could be drugs. It could be food. It could be bitches.
Sex.
It could be. I say bitches. Yeah. Excuse me. It could be women.
Right.
It could be men. I was gonna say niggas, but it could be men. Yeah. I mean, like if you're a woman, you promiscuous. It could be that.
Right.
It could be clothes. Just different shit. It's just different levels of demons.
Right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right. So now I understand. Who am I to judge? The only issue I have is what I want to do. Right. I can't, because that was the issue I was struggling with. How angry I was at her decision making. No, bro, it's your turn to make decisions. You here, you alive, you well. What are you gonna do differently? And so I was able to listen and understand what she went through, and not the whole story. I wasn't there, but to understand that the era was different, and you know, the family is different, but that's okay.
Right.
I'm here now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't want to make the same mistakes. There's no way that I can go through foster care and then end up on drugs, because that doesn't make sense to me. That means as the second tier generation, we're not learning from the latter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I don't understand why some of us get into these things, because we saw literally our parents and our family fall from the era of drugs, and then continues to. So I was like, no, I can't do that. I gotta be different.
Right.
And so that's kind of where I'm at today with that. Yeah.
But it's funny you said that, because the way, this is what I mean when I say digging into the thought process of your mother. Like you have the ability to say, nah, I ain't fucking with that, right? Another motherfucker be like, I can fuck with it and I can handle it.
Right.
You understand? It's like, but there's more people that say I could do what she did or my mother did or what my father did and I can handle it, opposed to taking an approach that you take, saying, I ain't fucking with that.
Right. Because I don't really know. How do you really know who you really, like, do you really know your family history? Do we really know who we really are? You don't until you start discovering it. And I'm not the one that's trying to discover
that type of demon.
Yeah, with how far do I really want to go with drugs?
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So no, you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to do that. So you got to understand, one of those things is like, how do you really know what you are until you start trying something?
Right.
Now, you can both go out, we could go try to smoke something, and you be good. Next day, you're like, yo, I'm getting back to work. I'm like, nah, I'm trying to find that high again.
Right.
Two different lanes.
Most definitely.
And so I'm not interested. Never was.
Right.
And I've been in hip hop ciphers, people blowing whatever. Yo, you what? Nah, that's not me. Come on, dog. If you think you can peer pressure me, I'm the wrong bull. Because I've been through so much and seen so much, you know what I mean?
Let me tell you my peer pressure. I stopped smoking weed when I was younger, right? And we went to a concert. And the girl I was messing with at the time, she was Kevin Lyle's niece.
Wow.
And I thought she was like, I didn't know who the fuck Kevin Lyles was at the time, because at the time, executives wasn't known like that.
Right.
We ain't know who.
They kind of like,
yeah, we ain't know who
behind
was
the
who.
scene, right?
So she knocked on the back door. We walked in, and Redman came and answered the door, let us in. It was Red, Meth. It was a whole bunch of fucking people in there, right? And I don't know if it was. I think Redman was like, "Here you go, Ray. I'll pass me the blunt." And I was like, "Damn." To say I smoke with the brothers that I looked up to. Yeah, that I
at
looked
this time,
up.
they at the pinnacle, right?
Yeah, not looked up to. I would say more so, which is proud of. You know what I mean? But I was like, nah, I'm good, bro. Get that shit to somebody else. I'm good. So that's what I mean when you said, but that's you being a man, standing on your shit. Like, I ain't doing that.
That's not really me.
That's not what I do.
You know what I mean, I'm good. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, peer pressure somebody else. I'm not that dude. I'm too. My mind is too strong.
Right.
For you to ever peer pressure, it could be a million people with whatever out. It's not happening. Right. I'm standing on that.
Let's rewind, because we went fast forward. Let's rewind it, then we come back to where we at. All right. First of all, where were you born?
So I'm born in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Until the age of 10. So foster care in Philadelphia to the age of 10, and then my mom, who I call my mom now, adopted me at the age of 14.
Okay.
So I was raised in Jersey at that point.
So you was in foster care at what age?
2.
Shit.
2 all the way up until about 14 is what I say 14 is because I was adopted, but I met my mom at the age of 10, 11, and then you go through the process before you're actually adopted.
Let me ask you something that might sound ignorant. Do you remember anything from your mother at 2?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I said it's kind of ignorant.
When people ask me, so when did you reach your biological mother? Again, I don't meet her until literally the age of 26. I don't meet my mom, no real memory of my mom, and literally until I'm a grown man at the age of 26. So imagine from 2 to 20, from this 0 to 26, there's no recollection. Only what I believe what she looks like. I mean, there's a photo.
That's a weird feeling, cause I know like I wasn't raised with my father, and this times I'd be in the street and I'd be thinking like, damn, I want this out of my father.
Right.
Like,
I got this line. It's good because I got this line in this poem called social worker. When will I be able to call somebody my mom? And it says, yo, can I tell you, social worker? I've been looking at random black ladies trying to find the fugitive who has stolen my heart. And like you said, we all go through that. When your dad, your mom, we be looking at it like, yo, that kind of look like that could be. You know, and
the mind games that nobody don't really know that you go through psychologically.
To talk about it, but it does. You know, there's grown men that's probably still doing it too. Like, oh, that boy look like my dad. You know, and you go through that searching and trying to find who is your parent. You know what I mean?
So you say from the age of 2 to 26. So when you met at 26, how was that conversation?
Man,
if it's too much, you don't gotta go.
No, I'll definitely talk about it. I'm transparent, man. I will say this: it was so. I can't even explain the emotion. Nervous, happy, the jitteries, you know, the jitters, I don't know what this is going to be. I'm still angry though because I want questions. I want answers now. And I'm a grown man. You left me in the dark. I could have died. So when I see her, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that. And I'm going to get busy. And then I'm going to walk off. I had it all planned out. So, and the fun thing is the story is they found me on Facebook. My family was lost for mad long. They only found me on Facebook, and then that's how I ended up meeting other people. And then we had like a little reunion in Northeast, right outside of the northeast part of the city of Philly. So we meet, and she didn't even recognize who I was. She looked disheveled. Her mind was not there, it seemed like. It was confusion. They wanted me to hug her, and I didn't really want to hug her because the way she looked, I didn't know how the hug would go. You know, it was an interesting time when I met her. And so they had to tell her, do you know who this is? And they say, oh, this is the youngest son. And she starts crying. And I drove home that night.
Damn.
And it was,
it
was rough, bro. It was like, imagine 26 years. And then you meet somebody, and then it's not what you thought it was going to be. So she's not in a condition where I can ask questions. Like, she's not like, like we talking.
Yeah, she not sharp.
Yo, what happened back in '86?
Right.
No. So I was frustrated because
you were stuck still.
All these questions I had.
You were still in prison by the past.
Couldn't even get it.
Yeah. And to ask her, it would be an insult because
it would be weird.
She ain't in a space to answer some of the things that's in your head.
It would be, I would be the bully. It would be like, come on, bro. Why you out here trying to turn up? And your mom, she's not even in the space to coherently answer your questions.
You know what's crazy out of everything you say? Like when people talk, I listen to all the details. Is one thing you said was beautiful. No matter how much her mind was scattered, no matter how, I don't know, she looked frail or whatever, no matter what condition she was in physically, mentally, and spiritually, her heart was still broken when she saw you because she cried. So she still was like, fuck. You understand what I'm saying? Like, to know she's a shell of herself. And they say, this is my son, this is your youngest son. And for her to still be able to pull that emotion out still, to have the mental fortitude to dig there and still have that emotion, that shows me like,
oh, it's still there. Her life is still in her brain, but like not. So you it brings it up, and it was
I wonder.
Interesting.
It'd be an interesting conversation. But like you said, she can't. I wonder what she been through on her end. Because see, we talking about your story, the ups and downs, like what she been through. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, and also here's the other thing. A lot of times it's like when we deal with our mother's sins or our father's sins, right? We also got to get to a point like talk to our mothers and fathers about their mothers and fathers, to see what type of parents they had. Because a lot of times, if you get hit with a switch and then the motherfucker beating you with a belt, Like your grandma was beat with a switch, and your grandfather was beat. Your great grandfather was beat with a whip, and your mother beat you with a belt. In her mind, she ain't fucking you up as much as. And it's the same thing on different levels. Far as it's the same thing on different levels. As far as what you've been through. Like what you've been through is bad, but what she been through might have been worse.
Absolutely.
And the main thing is smart that you talking about is that. You cut that shit off at the head, so whenever you have sons and daughters or family,
it's
whatever,
already destroyed.
That shit is destroyed, bro.
I already prayed to God, the curse of our family from my loin and the people I touch is done. We're no longer going to participate in things of the past or whatever had this family under siege. You know what I mean? I don't claim that. I don't want to be a part of that. So, that's, one of the things, going through that and then meeting her the next day and, talking through it, and I was emotional, bro. I was emotional.
Of course,
handle it well.
Of course.
And
you handled it well. You handled it well.
I handled it as best as
You handled it well
as I could. And so, but I think I learned. I will say this: it was important to go through that.
Yeah.
Cause once that happened, I was free.
Yeah.
Cause the one thing I wanted to do was to see her. Let me just see what she looks like. Let me see. Because at that time, I didn't even know what the other siblings looked like. Only had one sibling that I knew of, was my sister. But the other ones, I had no idea what they looked like. So imagine you going through life and you don't even have a person that resembles you.
Yeah.
Yo, these is my brothers, but they don't resemble me.
Right.
They my brothers, but where's the people that look like me?
Most definitely.
And so when I got around my cousins and my other family members that look like me,
they act like you too, probably.
Probably had some mannerisms like
me. That DNA is something special, bro. That DNA is something special, bro.
It unlocked my soul, and so I was happy that that's what it did for me. And then going forward, what I needed to do.
Did your mother have any sisters and brothers?
Yeah.
And see, that's the other thing that we fuck up on, like. If something happened to my brother right now, I'm raising his motherfucking sons, bro. This is what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we as black people, we lost that I got your back.
Right.
If something going wrong, I'm gonna make sure you good. I'm make sure you go through the storm and I'm gonna get you back out the storm.
Right.
So to me, it's not only on you, to me, if I'm wrong, you can if I'm out of line, you can correct me. To me, it's not only on your mother, but it's also, here's a tricky thing. I was gonna say it's also on your father. It's also on the aunts and uncles, if the grandmother she alive. But at the same time, if they mind not right, it's not on them too.
It's a big question.
You understand? Like, if your mind not right, you can't do certain shit.
There's questions throughout the family on why, why didn't this person take me, or why didn't that person,
Did anybody take any of your other siblings?
I do believe there was one that was taken. But when you start going through that, this is where the foster child your brain gets destroyed at this point, right? Okay. Because now you're like, why auntie ain't take me? Or, why uncle such and such ain't, bro? I got it. Like,
you gotta let it go.
I gotta let it, because then the anger starts to build up again. Now we back to North Philly again.
Right.
I'm about to turn back into the old me. Like, so basically, y'all let me go into this system.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And y'all know the system against
us. Right, and I don't know their lives. I don't know what was happening.
Right.
All I got is different accounts of different people who I don't really know if they know all that was the truth. You know what I mean? But I will say this is that once you go through this, and like you said, I tell other families too, do the best job you can to get the kid before they go into foster care. So I do agree with kinship first, because I tell you this, the best way to give this into the best way is Black Panther. You remember? So everybody's living in Wakanda, everybody's having fun, and then Killmonger comes and the family's confused. Well, who is this person? That's your family. That's who it is. And now you have people that's in the world somewhere that is of your bloodline and you have no idea. And they may come back angry. They may come back disheveled and confused about this family that you have had, and you didn't do the best job with keeping them in house.
Most definitely.
And you don't know how that's going to turn out, right? And so now one of my family members literally will see me on a camera, on a stage, and they can say, that is my cousin, that is my brother, and I don't know them.
Most definitely.
I have no idea. And if I do see them, hey, how are you? And it's hard to build a relationship at this age.
Right.
And so imagine meeting my brothers and them at 26. We got our own ways of thinking.
Yeah.
This ain't the Cosby's now.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's like, okay, well, you feel some type of way? By all means, go ahead.
Most definitely.
And so the family, my brother Joe is a big supporter of mine. He lives down here. But that's the only sibling I talk to. The other siblings, we have our disagreements on how to go forward and how we feel about the situations of our family.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought about going to therapy as a group?
No, because we can't. I believe that we could, but when you have a first generation of people that are disheveled, destroyed,
Right.
that puts pressure on the siblings now to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
When there's a parent that should be there, be like, yo, you need to call your brother.
Right.
You need to call yours, because that's what my mom do to me now.
Right.
Call your brother, call your sister. I'm like, nah, I don't want to, and I call them.
Right.
When you don't have that, who's the person to tell who to talk to who?
It's you.
Now the siblings have to.
It's on you.
Yeah. Now the
you know why it's
siblings-
on you? Because when you become the smartest person,
Right.
you gotta eat that shit, bro. Unfortunately.
Yeah, but so imagine now, but I'm technically the baby. So I'm the youngest out of 6.
Yeah.
Imagine me telling the oldest,
Right.
we need to go to therapy and we need to fix. They're not trying to hear that.
You know why I think you can? Because you're a master of words.
Yeah, but no, bro, this is.
They said they master of stubbornness.
Yeah, bro. Listen, one thing I will say about the Harpers, they ain't moving. When their mind is made up,
Right.
this is our blood. It ain't no changing that, bro.
Right.
I mean, I believe through God and, we pray, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, bro, by all means, it's okay.
Right.
I love everybody, and sometimes, you know how family is.
Family just different.
Family is
different. People just different.
Different. And it's family. It's not,
But one thing, well, the whole shit, everything you're saying was some real shit. But the real shit you said that broke it down is like, if the infrastructure fucked up, the whole shit fucked up.
And then you gotta try to fix it.
And it's hard because you don't know how to do it somewhat.
Right. I don't know. These are grown men that I'm trying to. No. So it's hard. It's very hard, and it's a difficult process. And all I can say is like, I got love. I don't want no problems. You know what I mean? And go on and really try to help other people not make the same mistakes that my family has made, and be real with and be honest with that. That every story don't end well. My joint did not end well. This is not we all happy now and we're going to Disney World.
Right.
It's still broken, but I'm good, and most of my siblings are good. They're healthy people, and I'm glad to see them, even though I don't speak to them, and the relationships are not the best. They are still doing well. They're living. Some of them are married. Some got kids. That's all I wanted. They're not around walking on drugs and all that.
Most definitely.
And so I'm glad to see that.
Most definitely, bro.
Definitely.
Most definitely. So you said, there's one thing you said that I was going to ask you about. You said going back to the old you from Philly, right?